When Jordan shifted his savings into a high-yield account boasting a 4.5% interest rate, he felt a sense of accomplishment. Having researched the pitfalls of traditional savings accounts, he was confident he had outsmarted the system. Seeing others settle for a meager 0.45%, while he earned 10 times that, gave him a false sense of financial victory. He was convinced he had maximized his returns. He was wrong. In reality, the bank was still profiting significantly more from his deposit than he was. Worse, the very mechanisms the bank used to generate that return were accessible to Jordan himself, meaning he could have pocketed the full yield. But the true gravity of the situation hit home when he considered his co-worker, Maya, who still had $20,000 languishing in a conventional savings account. Over a year, her bank paid her a paltry $76 in interest. During that same period, the bank utilized her $20,000 to generate over $1,200 in revenue. Maya received $76, while the bank pocketed the rest, and she felt grateful. Maya was entirely unaware she was losing value. Jordan, though better off, had only traded one layer of inefficiency for another. Both were operating in the dark, just at different intensities. Professor Wealth analyzed the numbers for both, shedding light on the harsh realities of the banking system. Maya followed all the conventional financial advice. She responsibly built an emergency fund covering 6 months of expenses and kept it in a savings account at a prominent national bank. Each month, she checked her balance and saw a small interest deposit. Though insignificant, a few dollars here and there, it provided a sense of security and responsibility. Her account paid only 0.38% APY, which reflects the national average according to FDIC data for a $20,000 balance. This amounted to a mere $76 a year, or roughly $6.33 a month, scarcely enough to cover lunch. It's highly probable Maya never pondered what the bank did with her $20,000 as it sat idle. She likely envisioned it secured in a vault, waiting for her withdrawal. This couldn't be further from the truth. The moment Maya deposited her money, the bank immediately put it to work, not to grow her wealth, but to grow their own. Maya's bank immediately engaged in the core business model of the American banking sector: lending. Banks accept deposits, pay a minuscule fraction in interest, and then lend that capital to others at significantly higher rates. The difference between what they pay and what they earn is the net interest margin. Currently, the average net interest margin for U.S. banks is 3.39%, the highest since 2019. Breaking this down, Maya received 0.38%, while the bank earned an average of 3.39% by lending out her deposit. On $20,000, this creates a substantial gap that the bank retains. This average only scratches the surface. The real profits lie in high-interest products. Consider credit cards, where the average APR skyrocketed to 21% in early 2026. Maya's bank takes her funds, pays her 0.38%, and then lends it to credit card holders at a rate 20 percentage points higher. On a $20,000 balance, even a fraction allocated to credit card lending generates profits that dwarf the interest paid to Maya. Auto loans, with average rates around 7.5%, and mortgages at roughly 6.8%, also leverage deposits like Maya's. Every lending product funds the bank's profitability at many times what Maya receives. Perhaps most illustrative is the Treasury trade. Maya's bank allocates a portion of her deposit to purchase short-term U.S. Treasury bills. With 3-month T-bills yielding approximately 3.6%, the bank buys these risk-free assets using Maya's money, earns 3.6%, and pays her 0.38%. The bank pockets a 3.22% spread simply by acting as an intermediary for an asset Maya could easily acquire herself, charging her over 3% for this unnecessary service. The profit streams don't end there. American banks collected an estimated $12.1 billion in overdraft fees, non-sufficient fund fees, ATM fees, and other charges in a single year. Major institutions like J.P. Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo each collected over $1 billion in overdraft fees alone in 2024. These fees are disproportionately charged to the same customers whose deposits fuel the bank's extensive lending operations. Maya's $20,000 is merely a small component of this massive, multifaceted profit engine. There is also interchange revenue, the fee banks collect from merchants every time Maya swipes her debit card. There's the profit generated by holding funds on float during transaction processing. There's the value extracted from anonymizing and packaging spending data to share with marketing partners. Each interaction represents another revenue stream layered on top of Maya's initial deposit. The reality is that Maya's bank wasn't guarding her money, they were leasing it. They paid her $76 annually for the unlimited right to use her $20,000 to maximize their profits, all while she believed she was benefiting from the arrangement. Now consider Jordan. Many view Jordan as financially savvy because he understood these dynamics and sought a high-yield alternative. Jordan is indeed ahead of Maya. His 4.5% yield is far superior to her 0.38%. On $20,000, Jordan earns roughly $900 annually compared to Maya's $76. He did his research and switched, earning more than 10 times the average. What, then, is the problem? The first issue is that the advertised 4.5% may not reflect his actual earnings. Many high-yield accounts advertise rates up to a certain figure. Some employ tiered structures, where the maximum rate only applies to the first few $100s, dropping significantly on larger balances. Others use enticing promotional rates that quietly decrease after an introductory period. Jordan's effective rate could easily be lower than the headline number. The second, and more significant problem, is taxation. Interest from savings accounts, both traditional and high yield, is taxed as ordinary income at the federal, state, and local levels. Assuming Jordan is in the 22% federal tax bracket and lives in a state with a 5% income tax, he loses over a quarter of his interest to taxes. His $900 in gross interest translates to approximately $657 after tax. The fundamental issue is what Jordan's high-yield bank actually does with his capital. How do they generate the returns necessary to pay him 4.5%? They replicate the exact model used by Maya's bank, lending it out, purchasing treasuries, and engaging in the same profit-driven activities. The high-yield account merely shares a slightly larger portion of the spoils with the depositor, but it's still just a slice. The bank remains the intermediary, ensuring they take their cut first. Jordan overlooked the key question. If the bank uses his money to buy Treasury bills and earn 3.6%, why shouldn't he just buy the Treasury bills himself? Professor Wealth calculated the outcomes for the same $20,000 over 12 months in 3 scenarios. Scenario 1. Maya's traditional savings account, 0.38% APY. Maya earns $76 in gross interest. After combined federal and state taxes, she retains roughly $55. This meager sum is her return on 6 months of diligent saving. Scenario 2. Jordan's high-yield savings account, 4.5% APY. Jordan earns $900 in gross interest. After federal and state income taxes totaling 27%, he keeps about $657. This is a vast improvement over Maya's return, but he is paying taxes on every dollar earned at multiple levels of government. Scenario 3. A short-term Treasury bill, ETF, like SGOV. SGOV's 12-month trailing yield as of April 2026 was 3.95%, with a 30-day SEC yield of 3.55%. On $20,000, this yields roughly $790 trailing, or $710 current. Here lies the critical distinction. Interest from U.S. Treasury securities is exempt from state and local income taxes by federal law. While Jordan pays both federal and state taxes on his $900, the Treasury investor pays only federal tax on their yield. After taxes, the SGOV investor retains roughly $616 at the trailing yield, without paying state or local tax. While Jordan's high-yield account seemingly offers a slightly higher raw dollar amount, 4.5% versus 3.95%, this surface comparison misses crucial nuances. Jordan's rate is an advertised bank offering that can decrease at any moment without warning. Conversely, SGOV's yield accurately reflects the current Treasury bill rates established by competitive U.S. government auctions. It is transparent and market-driven, free from potential bait-and-switch tactics. Furthermore, Jordan's yield is fully taxable at the state level, whereas the Treasury exemption can provide significant value, particularly for residents of high-tax states like New York or California. Most importantly, SGOV entirely eliminates the bank as an intermediary. Investors lend directly to the U.S. government and retain the full yield, minus only a minimal management fee, 0.09% for SGOV. The core takeaway is not that one financial product is universally superior in every context, but that Jordan was oblivious to superior alternatives. He mistakenly believed the high-yield savings account was the peak of optimization. It isn't. It's simply a better vantage point within the same profit-extracting framework. Professor Wealth offers a straightforward recommendation for reclaiming control. First, retain your checking account. You still need a mechanism for daily transactions and bill payments. This strategy isn't about altering spending habits, but about optimizing where idle capital resides. Second, meticulously identify your idle cash, emergency funds, savings, investment reserves, or down payments. This is the capital currently earning minimal returns, while your bank leverages it to generate substantial profits. Third, explore your options to mobilize this cash. Option 1 is a Treasury bill ETF, like SGOV, accessible through standard brokerage accounts, for example, Fidelity, Schwab. SGOV invests in short-term U.S. Treasury bills, maturing in 3 months or less, and pays monthly dividends reflecting the interest income. You can sell shares during market hours, maintaining liquidity, and distributions are free from state and local income tax. Option 2 involves using treasurydirect.gov to purchase Treasury bills directly from the U.S. government, eliminating brokerages and management fees entirely. While this offers the purest form of direct investing, it is less liquid, requiring you to commit to specific maturity dates ranging from 4 to 52 weeks. Option 3 is a money market fund offered by major brokerages. These funds invest in high-quality, short-term debt and offer daily liquidity with yields competitive with high-yield savings accounts. Opting for a Treasury-only money market fund provides the same valuable state tax exemption. A common objection concerns FDIC insurance, which protects bank deposits up to $250,000. However, Treasury bills are backed by the same U.S. federal government that guarantees the FDIC. Lending directly to the government via Treasuries is inherently as secure, if not more so, than depending on a government guarantee of a private bank. Another common concern is liquidity, the need for immediate access to funds. This is exactly why you maintain an operating balance in your checking account. For larger emergency reserves invested in assets like SGOV, the 1 to 2 day settlement period required when selling shares is rarely prohibitive. In a genuine emergency, accessing funds within a business day or two is almost always acceptable, and the resulting increase in yield amounts to hundreds of dollars annually. Maya was responsible and diligent, following all the standard rules. Jordan was proactive, researching better interest rates and outperforming the average saver tenfold. Yet both failed to ask the fundamental question, what is my bank truly doing with my money? And can I do it myself? The inescapable answer is yes. The bank leverages your capital to maximize their profits through lending and investments, while paying you a fraction of the returns. The truly optimal financial strategy isn't discovering a slightly better savings account. It's questioning why you require one at all. Understanding the hidden mechanics of finance empowers you to make smarter decisions about your money's destination and productivity.